Today's Daily Dose of Math is about Principle 8 for the Math 4273 Geometry course. Principle 8 states that transversals intersected by parallel lines are divided into segments of proportional lengths. And that situation is reflected in this drawing here. In this course, the principles are printed on the exam sheet, which is helpful for the student in the exam, because that way when they're doing a question and they use this to do a calculation, they are required to justify their answer, and they're able to justify it by saying, I used Principle 8, instead of having to repeat this long sentence. So it's a time saver. But reading this, for most students, doesn't necessarily make the situation pop into their heads very well. So I think it's a really good idea that the student who is allowed a memory aid, a sheet of paper on which they can put formulas or examples that will help them in the exam, should put a drawing something like this and a question with answer on that sheet to help them remember how to use Principle 8. This video is just showing an example of this being used. The transversals that we're talking about are line 4 and line 5, these two lines, which are straight lines, and although they may look like they were not even drawn with a ruler, they were. That's the fun of working with a chalkboard. The parallel lines we're talking about are line 1, line 2, and line 3. Because this situation reflects what is described here, it means that the lengths of these segments, at the x plus 2 and the x plus 8, have to each be proportional to these segments, the 26 unit and the 38 unit long segments. So therefore I can use a proportion to solve for x. I'll build my proportion. X plus 2 over 26 is equal to x plus 8 over 38. And this is going to successfully solve for x. A student can build a proportion so it looks a little different and still have a correct proportion. I can, if I wish, write x plus 2 over x plus 8 is equal to 26 over 38, and it means the same thing, and it will solve to get the same answer. So this is solved with cross multiplication. 26 times x plus 8 must be equal to 38 times x plus 2. 26x plus 208 must be equal to 38x plus 76. I'll isolate my variable over on the right side in order to avoid negative numbers. So 208 minus 76 must be equal to 38x minus 26x. Here we have 12x. Here we have 132. And then if we divide both sides by 12, we have isolated our variable, and x is going to be equal to 11. I don't have a unit that was given in the question, so I'll use the word units as my unit. And now the only thing that's missing, but it's an important thing, is to justify what I just did. How did I know this would work? Because I'm using Principle 8. So I say so. And that's where I save a bit of time. I encourage my students to put a circle around the number of the principle they're using to make sure that I notice it when I'm correcting, because their page can be so full of numbers that it can become a little bit lost otherwise. Another thing to mention is that you may be doing a course that's from a different curriculum than when I'm teaching it. And your course may have this principle as part of what you're responsible for. But your course might not have this one as number 8. So be careful to use the list of principles or theorems that comes with your course. That is today's Daily Dose of Math. Please subscribe and share and hit that thumbs up button.